we have to deal with this third guy. In verse 24 it says, "He who would receive the 1 talent came forward. He said, 'Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you had scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, have what is yours.' But his master answered him, 'You wicked and lazy servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and I gathered where I had scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received interest on what I had given you. So take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10. For to everyone who has, much more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast that worthless, lazy servant out into the darkness, in a place that there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.'" Wow. That's pretty extreme, what happened to this servant. So, all right, here we go. Mom's home, and the dishes aren't done. It's time to pay the piper. It's sad, because you often feel for this guy. I mean, he goes out and he does the safest thing he could think of with money, and he buries it. He doesn't lose it. And I have no doubts that he probably walked into that room with confidence and said, "Hey, guys, look, I still got my talent. I didn't lose it." But once he heard what the other 2 servants did, his heart sinks. You know, I've also struggled with this maybe a little bit as I was working down through this passage, because the guy made the safe investment, right? He didn't lose money. I mean, when investors lose money, that's when things are bad. But when your money stays about the same, you're not complaining. But the master nails it when he says in verse 26, "You wicked and slothful servant." See, it wasn't his financial decision or his safety that was being judged here. He didn't bury the talent out of a desire to keep it safe. He buried it because he simply didn't want to waste his time with doing the work that he was tasked to do. How often are we like that? Do we put aside God while we go out and we have fun and we do our own thing and ignore the tasks that God has given us to do? Movies come before devotions. Sleep comes before church. Faithfulness brings joyfulness. Sure, those things might bring us joy and happiness now, but they're empty. Joy is going to fade, and you'll find yourself longing for something more. Because remember, faithfulness brings joyfulness. This third guy, he missed it. And I think Christ, as he's going through this parable with the disciples, he lays this out perfectly. Because the lesson, you might say, well, if the guy with the 5 talent didn't return, or if he lost his money, well then no wonder the Lord took so many extremes and was so mad at him. He was just as mad because he wasted so much. Christ uses the illustration of the servant with the 1 talent so that the anger of the master is not because that he lost so much, but because he wasted the opportunity that he was given to be faithful. That makes the point that Christ is trying to get across. The one who has the very least opportunity is still as equally responsible as the one who has the most opportunity. Interestingly enough, the master takes his talent and gives it to the guy who has 5 talents. To those of us who have been given heavier bags, have a greater responsibility for faithfulness. Now, I don't want to know what would have happened if the roles had been reversed and the guy with the 5 talents is the one who had failed. How bad would have that been if the guy who had 5 talents was lazy and unfaithful? Fortunately for him, he wasn't. To those of us who've been given much more greater responsibility, but we also have an opportunity for greater joy. So at the end of the day, he got an extra talent because he was faithful with the greater responsibility that Christ had given him. Faithfulness brings joyfulness.